Once again, would anybody like to address
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to interject for a second.
Sure.
If I can. For the sake of everybody listening, and actually for myself,
Jordan, come on.
for myself as a council person, there are a lot of questions around this this whole matter, and also as far as particularly the demotion of Chief Cole. So for the sake of clarity and for everyone involved, my question is for Lynette, is that if any council member, because I know this is one of the issues, did any council member direct you to demote Chief Cole?
I think you should answer. He's one of your council people.
No, sir. No council
okay.
person directed me.
Very good. She said no, which is proper. It absolutely is.
We can't hear her.
I
Please talk
said,
directly.
no one directed me to remove Chief Cole.
Okay. And I'm just trying to, not necessarily for the sake of everybody listening, because people are very emotional about this and people really want to know. But I don't want to say more importantly, but I think pretty importantly that I want to know as a council person, because I'm in the dark with a lot of these things as well, and I think some of us on council are. And so she did not, no one directed her, which is proper. And a follow-up question would be, what criteria did you use to evaluate Chief Cole's leadership of the department?
As I stated in my press release, Councilman Griesbach, I removed Chief Cole without cause.
Without cause. So there's none, okay. And under the charter, I believe, Mr. Dice, that's definitely allowed. So during the,
Now, just so you know, under the charter, she can
Correct.
do that without cause.
yeah, I was agreeing with that, yes, I was agreeing with that. Were any members of our department, did the manager's office speak to any members of the police department during the evaluation, or was it just a without cause, and that was it?
I think I've answered it.
Okay, it was all without cause?
Without cause.
Okay. So no one in the police department was questioned, no professional consultants were questioned, no resident complaints occurred from, in regards to Chief Cole's performance. It was strictly without cause. That's correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Nikki, if I may, can I interrupt for a second?
Sure.
I have a question, too. I'm sorry, I have a question for Lynette. I read in the paper you said it was your sole responsibility to make any leadership changes in the police department based on your evaluation. Is that true?
That's correct.
Let me ask you this. How many evaluations of administrative departments have you previously made?
Many.
Many.
How many? In what capacity?
How many?
Hang on, folks.
Many.
Many.
I would like to see them in writing tomorrow morning.
Then I have one other question, I'm done. How were you able to get all this information done in less than 2 days?
You're getting a little paper.
My only other-
I'm ready to start talking some stuff that I ain't gotta talk. Do I gotta go to jail for telling the truth?
Clarence, you have the floor. If you
All I
need
did
the
was ask you a
floor,
question.
you certainly can do it.
I've had issues told to me by Chief Cole. Stand up, Chief.
Mayor, we can't hear Mr. Ramsey.
Oh,
Can I ask
Clarence,
him?
you have to talk directly
He
into
has
the
to put the
microphone.
mic in front of him.
Okay, no problem. Doug Cole, did you ever tell me anything that was inappropriate about my people?
I've never.
Never. We never said nothing like that. I told all these guys, every one of them. And they all laughed. What he said. You know why black women have babies? To hide their crap. You ever hear say that?
I've never said that.
Never said it? Fine.
That's offensive. I never heard that.
You didn't say that? Fine.
Doug, you can certainly defend yourself on that issue.
Yes.
No, I'm allowing it.
Mayor, this.
I'm allowing it.
Leave it
The only thing I
alone.
want to say on the
I think
record
we
here.
need to bring some investigation into Monroeville.
Well, I'm
Bring
open
him
for
in.
anything. The only thing I'm going to say I categorically deny that.
You denied
I
it.
have never said that. I've never been in a position to say that. I wouldn't even say that if, I don't know where you came from.
You don't know where
So I have to deny that because that's a
Okay.
reputation thing. I mean,
Okay.
if you have anything else you want to tell me that I said, I'm denying it.
You denied anything?
Well, I'm
else I said?
denying what you just said there. I'll put it that way. And
Can I remind all of you that last Thursday, we were on live television, and each
Mayor,
one
we
of you
can't
got
hear.
together and bashed each other, and we're doing it
You'll have
again.
an opportunity to come up and talk.
That is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Folks, I would like us
I ate
to
it.
restore a little bit of order. I know this is very emotional. I'm as shocked as all of you are on some of the comments coming out. Please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, in response to that, I'm going to make a comment. However, as members of council, we have a legal responsibility to do what is legally right, and our role requires to make decisions in a legal manner. And the information is sometimes protected by employment law and healthcare law or other guidelines that don't allow us to discuss what is at the core of that decision in public, even if the information reflects a public danger or other violation. But I'd like to get on the record, based on the questions from the public, which followed four members of council's own questions, and the submission of notes, what we call notes to memo. These are all the notes that would have been shared with members of council had they all followed the structure that we have in place by attending the executive session. And I'd like Mr. Dice to confirm, based on notes that are submitted, plus the notes I advised him last week that I was prepared to submit to him, what, if anything, from this information can be revealed to the public. This would be selected from what has been documented and what would have been shared with three members of council who did not attend that executive session. So bear in mind, these things would have had an opportunity to be shared with the public upon Mr. Erb's advising Mr. Silka, when Mr. Silka kept putting off his response on what he would do. Mr. Silka's response was to resign instead and base the conditions of his resignation on nothing to be shared with the public. So I go back to that question, and would he please consider, and in order to consider all the notes to memo, I would have to submit to you my own notes, which I told you I had last Thursday.
I don't know if, I would suggest that this discussion concerning employment is proper for executive session and not at this open forum. So if you want my advice, I'll give it to you in executive session, but not in the public.
Okay,
what
fair enough.
lawyers-
I
that's
had
what
to put
lawyers
that
get
out
paid
there
to do.
because, I had to put that out there because of what the public is asking and what we have all made notes on.
My client happens to be you. And my advice to you is any further discussions that you want to go down the line concerning your rationale for, I'm not even sure what the thrust of the question is. I would suggest that we would do this in executive session.
Need I remind everybody that Mr. Silka resigned voluntarily, and he did.
We're in this meeting.
At the end of the day, he submitted a resignation to us.
You made him.
He submitted a resignation.
Let him talk, folks. You're going to have your opportunity. I'll keep this mic open till 3 o'clock in the morning.
The simple fact is, I've told you what I said to him. I'm not denying that I told him that he needed to act, and that soon was not on the calendar, but Monday was. I told you that Thursday. Grand jury, I'll say it in a grand jury. I have no problem with that. I followed, as I said before, the rules of our charter and all of the superseding laws that apply to our charter. I have no problem with that. But he resigned voluntarily. He resigned. He gave reasons, and some of those reasons were printed by the press. He disagrees whether we were within the charter. I'm telling you that I did nothing outside of the charter. He had plenty of opportunity besides simply firing people. There are other actions that he could have taken. There are lots of actions open to him. But he chose to resign, and under the agreement that we signed with him, we can't speak to these issues. I think issues will become self-apparent. If they do not, I should be voted out of office. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. I will not resign.
Come on, folks.
I said that I was going to resign in frustration over a 6-1 vote on a budget that I disagreed with. And it was not Mrs. Allison that I talked to. It was somebody from the audience that is not here tonight that came up to me and said, Byrne, you did too much to get here, and 1 2-hour meeting is not a reason to resign. And so I didn't. The decisions will be made. As far as the electric, you will make decisions. And I will stand by what I did. And I never said, when I ran for office, I never said that you would agree with me 100% of the time. And if you disagree with me enough, then you should take me out of office. I don't have a problem with that. I ran to do the right thing for Monroeville. I continue to strive to do the right thing for Monroeville. I'm not infallible, nobody is. I agree with that statement that whoever made it earlier. I think Mr. Spielman might have made it. But I stand by what I did, and I would do it again. Probably the only thing that I would do differently is rather than talking to him, I would have simply gone to the advertisement. But I did not want to lose him as manager. I never asked him to resign. And it's that simple.
Mr. Johns, any other questions?
No, I do not have
All right. I do believe there was, Clarence, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
I said enough. I'm ready to I'm ready for help. I'm ready for help to come in. Bring some help in here. Let's get all checked out.
Georgianne, please.
Lie detector.
Georgianne, please. We have a resident coming up. You can be next. Please. State your name and address for the record. Please sign in.
Georgiana Woodhull, 4560 Broadway Boulevard. Comment was made here on Citizens Night that was a very big concern to me. Gentleman made a comment that Mr. Kane, I believe his name was, that there is a possibility of people being afraid to come up here because of targeting. And I would ask each and every member of council to check into that, because nobody should be discouraged from coming before council, planning commission, or any other government body and saying what's on their mind. And I really would like you to follow up on that. People have the right to speak out. That's what's great about this democracy. And if anybody is targeted, I'd like to know about it. I'd like them to know there's the ACLU, there's the Institute of Justice in Virginia, and there are good attorneys out there. There's ways to handle it. But I think everybody up there has a responsibility to make sure that there is absolutely no targeting going on here.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you. There's a pen here. Please sign in, state your name and address for the record, if you would, please.
My name's Larry Storch, Haymaker Road, Monroeville. I'd say the vast majority of people in this room know who I am. I was a police officer with this municipality for 17 years. I'm currently working at a different police department. I've watched on TV the Citizens Night last week. I've been listening to the meeting tonight, and I think it's been clearly established that Doug Cole is a nice guy. But I think there's a big difference between being a nice guy, which is debatable, and whether you're competent enough to be a police chief. And I hear the snickers behind, and that's fine. But I have a right to say what I'm going to say. I want to applaud Mr. Ramsey, Mrs. Allison, Mrs. McKinney, Mrs. Drumheller, and Mr. Erb, because they did the right thing. It's 2.5 years too late, but they did the right thing. I've said this from the beginning. I'll say it on the record. In his capacity as police chief, Doug Cole violated the laws of arrest, and he violated the policies, procedures, and practices of his own police department. That's what he did. And he can come up here and categorically deny doing that. But he did. Thank you.
Once again, would anybody like to, please?
I'm Marilyn Carroll. I live in Monroeville, and I'm not going to tell you how many years because it's longer in most audience. I don't know Doug Cole that well, but Doug Cole just recently was at an Eagle Scout thing on his own time and presented my nephew with an eagle. I didn't see anybody from the borough, but Doug was there. He represented the police department. And I don't have a lot to say except what you're doing is wrong. And Mrs. Allison, I feel sorry for your husband on the police force because you know there's men down there that are on Doug's side and maybe the other side. I feel sorry for him. But being down there working may be jeopardizing all of us. And the people here are supposed to be representing us. And now we're going to sling mud. And you're worried about your money. I hope Doug Cole gets a lawsuit and sues you for millions. And don't come to Holt Lane, that's where I live. And the reason I'm saying it, my son's also on a police force, not here, over here. But you know what? They don't act like this. And you people shouldn't act like this. I'm ashamed of living in Monroeville. This takes us back to when Miles Spann and everybody used to fight out here. Now you know how old I am. You know? Stop it.
I hate to come back up here again, Mayor, but
Name and address.
my name's Lou Smith, Turnpike Gardens, Monroeville, but I have to address Clarence over here, the statement that he made about Doug Cole, because I'm going to tell you, I've known this man for 35 years. I work with him. You know, when you go around, hitting doors 2 or 3 days a week on a drug task force, and your life's on the line every time you do that. And people like Johnny Pulaski back here, Detective Pulaski, and Doug Cole, who was my detective sergeant, you get real close to those people because your life depends on them, and their life depends on you. I work with this man every day, every day. I have never heard him make a disparaging remark racially anywhere to anyone. He's just, that's just not him. He's not built that way. I've heard racial comments. Believe me, I've heard them, during the years in police work. But I'm going to tell you what, there's none of them ever come from that man. And you can make book on that, Clarence.
You think I'm lying? Am I lying? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's all think I'm lying?
Come on, folks.
I got a kid
Let's
in
try to keep
California,
some
won't come
order.
back this way no more.
Try to keep some order.
He went through a lot of hell going through Monroeville. It ain't easy to go through. All right, you want me to repeat what I said?
Yes, please. and
Yes.
to the mic.
Yes. I got a kid in California who'll never come back here no more. Probably. Huh?
Come on, folks. Please, let's try to keep a little bit of order.
Jim
Please again.
Rosapel, Marguerite Drive, Monroeville. Just a very quick question for Bruce. I'm familiar with the capacity of school board members. You've got to have 3 or 4.
Right.
Acting alone, they're nothing.
Right.
They're a civilian. Is it the same for council?
With regard to what?
If a councilman goes somewhere and starts talking to somebody pertaining to business that may jeopardize that individual's job, is he talking to him with authority as a council person, or is he talking to him as a taxpayer? I'm referring to what Mr. Erb met with Mr. Silka, had breakfast with him, and, you know, he says one thing, you say tomato, I say tomato. Did he have the authority, alone with him, to basically say, this is the outline of what we want you to do, which he did?
He certainly,
He knows he
okay, I got the drift. Certainly, that's not a violation of 703, which has been thrown around kind of loosely. Council individually and collectively have a responsibility to make sure the manager has an idea of where council wants that person to move. And if they choose to go to the manager and say, look, I'm dissatisfied with the engineering department, I'm dissatisfied with the solicitor's office, I'm dissatisfied with Public Works, I want you to look into it and offer me, the councilman, an explanation at the next meeting, the next several meetings. They have not only a right but a responsibility to do that, because they are the overseers of the municipality. That's what they're elected to do. It's up to the manager then to develop the program to address the query that's been made by the individual councilman or collectively council people. I don't know if I'm answering your question.
I don't think.
I didn't understand. I'm not sure I understand the question.
What he's saying
Is there a
They-
sunshine law violation? No.
No. As a school board member, I couldn't go into a school and tell a teacher, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, because I'm a school board member. I didn't have the authority to do it. I know things are done, but I didn't have the authority to do it as a single person, as a single
But
board
you'll
member.
agree with me, you could go into the superintendent and say, look, I've got a problem with something.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's
My
what
question
Mr. Erb
is,
did.
my just question is, at breakfast that morning, the information that we have garnished from both sides of the table is, he was basically told, you know, we're going to get rid of you if you don't do your thing, you do our thing that we're asking you to. Was he empowered to tell him that? I as a taxpayer,
was-
don't think so.
He was in, again, I'll
Did
make
he
the
have the
announcement.
authority to do it at that time? I'm sorry I interrupted you.
That's all right. He certainly has the right and responsibility to go to the superintendent or go to the manager and express a concern.
Okay.
And I thought that's what I heard Mr. Erb saying.
Do I have the authority to advertise an ordinance without anybody else involved in that?
I believe our policy has been that if anybody wanted an ordinance advertised, it gets advertised.
Okay.
That's what I said, an ordinance.
Well, we're moving around on issues in my mind. Remember, I'm an attorney, I don't think like you people.
Thank God.
I understand that.
That's why you're there.
That's why when we go downtown, you need somebody like me. I would suggest to you that he has every right to say to the superintendent/manager, I've got problems with a particular department and I want you to address them.
I can't say anything to the superintendent, I'm not on the school board.
Well, I'm just trying to make the analogy.
Well, then they can pick and choose who they want to get rid of, right?
Well, it's up to the manager then to decide, well,
Yeah.
if I'm the manager, I'm going to say, well, can I count to 4 here?
But they have the authority then to come back to Lynette and say, I don't like that guy in Public Works, I want him gone. Well, you get the votes and he's gone.
Oh, I don't think it's...
Just cause.
That means that the manager's going to listen to that council person. That doesn't compute for me, because the
Okay.
manager doesn't have to listen to the council
Okay.
person.
I won't belittle. Thank you. I just wanted to ask that. Thank you.
If I did not ask for anything punitive, in my mind, I asked for nothing punitive. And the law says that I cannot ask for anything punitive. Mr. Silka has been recorded in the paper as saying differently, but I did not recall ever asking him to do anything punitive. Therefore, if I did nothing asked him to do nothing punitive, the charter allows me to talk to him, but does not allow me, in reference to the question of get rid of this person, get rid of that person, fire this person, fire that person, does not allow me to do that. It does allow me to express concerns, and it does allow me to ask him to take action.
That's a correct statement. Now, I don't know what, again, I was not privy to any of these conversations,
You
so,
weren't part of the discussion, understood.
you know, if we were downtown, the judge would be saying to me, this is one of these he said, she said things, okay? And the problem I have is I wasn't privy to any of these conversations. I've certainly heard hours' worth of discussions on them. The fact remains is council has a right and responsibility to address matters that they find are of some concern with the manager. What the manager does with that information is up to he or she to decide.
Any other discussion, I would certainly like to turn it back over to the residents. Anybody else? Bob, come on up to the microphone, and you have to state your name and address for the record. And again, please try to direct your questions toward me.
Thank you. My name is Robert Serafini. I live in Point Circle Drive in Monroeville. Mr. Mayor, I think you ought to talk to Sharon tonight. She made one big mistake. And I don't know if she knows it or not, but instead of starting with Mr. Erb and giving Mr. Ramsey a chance to answer last so that he would know what to say, she started with Mr. Ramsey. And I don't know if he was sleeping or didn't know what the question was, but he answered on the wrong side, it appears. So next time, Sharon, so that Mr. Ramsey knows what to say, start at this end and go that way.
Hey,
Come on, folks.
deal with my stupidity. It's
I didn't
here.
say stupidity. I said whether you were sleeping or not paying attention. Didn't I?
Yeah, you
Look,
did.
please, let's
then I
try to
said-
not make it personal. I know
It
it's
is
hard.
personal when he comes and says what he says.
Sure.
It is personal. Pat's a friend of mine, and I defend Pat. And like I said, Sharon, I know what you did. You started at his end tonight, and he didn't know what to say.
Hey.
Ladies and gentlemen, would anybody else like to address? Please come on up. And before she gets up here, I would hope that all of you will remain. All we have left is the council reports. They may be just as interesting as last week, so. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name's Kathleen Corralitz. Kathy. I live in Sweetleaf in Garden City. And to tell you the truth, I was home in my jammies, and I couldn't stand this bull anymore. I'm a resident of Monroeville, been so for 25 years. I've lived here. Worked here going on 35 years. Monroeville's my home. Raised kids here, had a business here, still continue to live here. You guys all need to be ashamed. You represent us. You decided you didn't want to be at the meeting, you and Steve, if he's still on the road.
Now,
He's on the phone.
Okay, well, last I heard, he was going under a tunnel. Mr. Erb,
Please try to direct your questions
Okay.
at me.
the 4 headhunters, as I've been referring to them as, because I travel for work, I've been embarrassed the last 2 weeks to say I'm from Monroeville. I walk into a store and it's like, hey, Kath, what's going on in Monroeville? I'm embarrassed to say, yeah, I live there. Mayor, I'm shaking on the inside, and I like to talk, but I tell you what, I can't stand what's going on here tonight. I don't know if there's lies being told, cover-ups being told, whatever. You people represent us. You're not listening to us. You're listening to yourselves, whatever promotes yourself, makes you sound good, looks good in the paper. That's been what's going on. My question that got me up here tonight, I'm going to start at the top. Lynette's a secretary to the manager. I understand, like, if the manager is unavailable, the secretary can step in. I didn't know she could take over the job. And within 2 days, like Mr. John said, she made a decision, an evaluation, those were the words, to get rid of, or to demote Doug Cole. And for just cause or no cause or just because is what I keep hearing, is just because. I don't understand that. Everybody in this borough that has a job is scared. Every employee. You go ask them anywhere they work. Oh, don't say that. I'll lose my job. Never heard Doug say that. He shows up for work every day, every incident. He's a dependable guy. He's a nice guy. But never heard him say, oh my gosh, I'm afraid for my job. What's wrong with you people? For just cause, for how were you saying, what was the phrase?
Without cause.
Without cause. So without cause, tomorrow, she can come into work and say, hey, I don't like this guy, psst, you're out of there?
Pretty much.
That's mind-boggling. I can't even come around that one. So to have that position, to fire anybody in the borough, she has that position? The position that is available to the mayor or to the manager? Even when the previous man held the job? He could have walked in some morning and fired people?
Yes.
I think that needs changed.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you.
I don't know if it's in a home rule charter, Mr. Dice?
Yeah, please, I mean, you have to remember something. I mean, we're taking this, and I'm trying to give you a legal perspective. And it's important to try to focus on this a little bit. The charter was written in 1974. It was amended in 1994, I think again in 2000, thereabouts. And it's set up in a way that I think everybody agreed to then. And I'm not so sure everybody doesn't still agree. You don't just change the charter because you don't like a decision, okay? And just bear with me. What it says is, the manager shall appoint, suspend, or remove all municipal employees, except as otherwise provided in the charter. The manager shall appoint all administrative unit heads with the consent of council. Now, I think that's what the forefathers framed and wanted you to do. You can't go in and make changes to the charter because in one instance, you don't like what the manager did. And I'm not commenting on whether it's a good decision or a bad decision. That's not a legal issue. What I'd suggest to you is the charter is set up to give the manager a strong hand to administer to the municipality. And that's what your forefathers wanted to be done. And I think you got to think through before you start saying, let's make changes to the charter and take away powers of the manager, or otherwise do away with the entire charter.
Can I ask you a question? What does it say in there about an interim manager?
The interim manager has, good question.
Full
Exactly.
powers?
Here's what it says.
Because they're just temporarily filling the job.
I got you, okay. Now, hear me. Section 706, upon a vacancy in the office of manager, council shall appoint an acting manager to exercise the powers and perform the duties of this office. That means whoever's interim, acting, has all of the powers and duties of any of the manager under the Home Rule Charter. Now, I think Mr. Garfolo's suggestion, and again, this isn't something that I'm straying a little bit from legal. It makes sense to me, though.
5-2?
To put in to possibly come up with an ordinance, to ask for a referendum, to change the charter, to require the manager in order for the manager to be discharged, to get 5 votes. I could understand that. That makes sense to me.
Would it be possible to make a consideration of the interim manager's duties in there? Because it's just a person filling in temporarily. I mean, it's like if somebody's filling in temporarily, yeah, they have decisions to make, important decisions. But why should that person have full, unrestrained decisions? Like,
would you have it any other way? When you, again, let's take this out of this context. Take it out of this room for right now. Take it a year from now, when all these issues are hopefully behind us. Wouldn't you want the let's say your manager dies.
I just went through,
and you want to.
I just went through this.
Okay. You want that interim manager to have the same full force and effect, wouldn't you? I think you would. Now, look, council can debate that issue. That's for another day, whether or not you'd want to make an amendment that says, well, only the full-time manager gets the 5 votes, interim manager 4 votes. We can discuss that. But I would suggest to you that the form of government that you have here is a strong manager form of government. You pay this person hundreds of thousands of dollars.
A qualified person?
You pay this person hundreds of thousands of dollars. And you want to think that they're going to make those kinds of informed decisions for you. That's why you're paying them, in the ideal world. And that's why I think the government is set up the way it is. So I wouldn't be just making changes to the charter just willy-nilly. That's all. That's my point.
Well, I'm not thinking it's willy-nilly, but I think that something is astray here. Something needs looked into. I mean, Lynette, I didn't come up here to attack you personally. It's the position. You know, a secretary that suddenly becomes in charge, within 2 days fires the police chief, I think is wrong. I think there should be limitations to a temporary situation, and Lynette is in a temporary situation.
I think Mr. Dice gave good advice. I think that might be a councilmatic discussion.
Just something needs pointed out. But tonight,
But I think what Sam suggested on the 5
5-2?
votes, I think that's a great idea.
that is. But tonight, if you guys got the power to do it, bring our chief back. We need him.
Thank you, Kathy.
Talk to you later.
Good. I'm willing to listen. I've been listening a long time.
Listen?
Yeah. I've been listening a long time.
Kath, please.
Get me when no one else is around so he can take care of me right, knock me out.
Again, once again, please state your name and address for the...
Bobby Roback, 730 Line Drive. Some of us in the back have a couple questions. One is if we have the position for a manager, since Lynette is just an interim, why haven't we posted that yet? Somewhere in the paper? Where is that position posted for a new manager? Council? Can you answer that for me?
Too busy
No.
trying to put out other stuff.
And also, if we have an interim, why are we paying her? Why did we give her an increase? I know that we, lost our superintendent down at the school. So we had Mr. Rieger, who stepped in and did a fabulous job. So when Mr. Rieger was done and we got our superintendent, he was given $40,000 for doing such a great job. But he didn't get an increase when he stepped up to take the place of the superintendent who had left Gateway. So what I'm asking is, why are we paying Lynette when she is just an interim? Why did we give her an increase already? Why did you approve an increase for her already?
That was a vote taken on the January 27th meeting.
I mean, that was a lot of money for us to give her when we don't even know if she's going to do a great job. And seeing that 2 days later, when she was put into her position, she took Mr. Cole out of his position. I don't think that really was even enough time for her to review what he's done to make such a drastic change. When you're an interim, you're just over there to supervise things. You are not there to make major changes in a system. I don't agree with her position. And Lynette, I love you in cheerleading and whatnot, but I just don't think you're qualified for where they put you right now. I'm sorry.
Once again, Please state your name and address for the record. Please sign in.
Good evening. My name is Reed Vogel. I live at 4447 Marywood Drive. I got to tell you, I was sitting at home tonight. I wanted to listen to the meeting. I drove up here after getting off of work because I could not stand any more of hearing about this. There are 4 people on this board that consistently downgrade people that we've let 2 people go now. $150,000 in severance pay, if not more.
154 and change.
154 and change. I love my kid to go to Central Catholic. Could have paid for 4 kids to go there if I wanted them to. But we're willing to sacrifice these people because 4 people on this board want to let them go. You know who you are, Mr. Erb. I disagree with you all the time because I think you're self-serving. I don't like what you do.
Please direct.
And I apologize, Mayor, but I don't like
It's okay.
the thing that go on for the 4 people that always constantly make a point here. This summer, my son put out some flyers, wanted to do some things for the yard work. Doug Holt hired him. I could not speak more about Doug Holt and the professional that he showed my son, never knowing him and what he did and how he came out and helped him to help him earn the money that he came out there. That was Doug Holt's personality. But for some reason, I don't know why, I don't know you, Mr. Ramsey, very well, but racial things come into this all the time. It's hearsay, it's worry, it's something, it's hearsay. There's no factual states of anything, and I've graduated with 5 different police officers that are on this force today. I graduated with them. I know these guys personally. I've never heard one thing about Doug Holt ever stated that's ever been made. But we put somebody in a position, 2 days later they fire the guy. Why? I don't know. There's been no factual that I heard on TV tonight, and I've not heard anything in the paper or anybody else of why this man was let go.
I just told you why. It's political. And
It's political, and that's right, and it's wrong, and it's political. It goes on in every aspect of what we do. Give me some facts. You want to fire somebody? Give me the facts.
There are none.
There aren't any. Let the man stay in the position to what he is. He's a good police chief. Let him stay.
I was just going to ask, and this young lady jumped up, so anybody else hang in there.
My daughter's calling me like they're wondering where I am.
Please state your name and address for the record and sign in.
Lori Picusa, 123 Pauline Road. And I have a question, and I'll direct it to you. How long was the position vacant before? Because I know, Lynette, you stepped up once before. How long was it actually vacant before you found Mr. Soka?
About approximately 7 months.
Okay. And how long did we advertise before we found Mr. Soka?
Help me out here, counsel. I don't know that off the top of my head how long that was. A few months anyway.
And he was not our
Are we
first,
allowed
I
to
mean,
tell him?
Although he was a
Yeah,
wonderful.
tell her. I don't remember.
You don't remember?
I don't know. I'm being honest. I don't remember.
Probably. We had, after we got rid of
2 months, maybe.
Tim
2 months to get the list.
Little,
Yeah, 2
we
months.
got rid of him. And the next guys come in, it was 4-3. The 3 said, we don't need to do this no more. We don't need no 4 votes on this here. I mean, we don't need just 4 votes. We want everybody to be in this mix. The guy we had in mind to bring in, they said, we don't want him because he's from Monroeville. We want somebody that don't have nothing to do with Monroeville. You remember that?
Did you actually say that you didn't want that person, or did that person say they didn't want to do this because
No,
of
no.
the politics that
No, no.
happen here?
They were saying that they didn't want to use this guy, and we didn't use him. We jumped around him and got Silka.
Okay, well, because I do know of a person that was asked to come here and to at least throw his hat into the ring. Absolutely not. He would not do it. And he is a manager
Where's he at?
somewhere else. I don't know
No,
where
no,
he's
no.
at. I know he was down, I don't want
Did
to
he
put
give you
his
a
name
reason
out
why
there.
he didn't come?
Yeah,
Because of the politics that go on here, because of this whole, I want to be your friend today. Well, you're not playing nice. Let me get out of my sandbox. This is crazy, guys. Mr. Ramsey, I've known you my whole life.
Right.
You guys up here should all be ashamed. All of you.
Oh, I'm ashamed of what's
You
going on.
got,
because
it's my
the same-
turn, Clarence.
Well, scream louder, maybe I can hear you.
You all should be ashamed of yourself. Your behavior tonight, why you did things, why you didn't do things. all you do is you sit up here and I'll call them closing arguments because that's what it's like. You sit up here and you point your fingers at each other. And you say, and she says, and I did this, and you guys, we look like idiots because of you. And I mean all of you. And I would like to know, and I was going to bring it up, when will the next position be posted?
Hopefully soon, but this is again a councilmatic action.
Okay, well, I would certainly hope that executive session, which you did revert to after the last meeting, that should have been decided there. This should be posted now. Not that you're not going to do a good job, and God love you because I'm sure you're probably dying at this. You have been thrown into the lion's den, and I feel bad for you. Because no matter what decision you make, you'll make some happy, and you're going to just upset everybody else. So I do feel bad for you. But this needs to be decided, and you're going to have a very hard time filling it after all the publicity that Monroeville has had. So you guys need to choose, and you guys decide. It took you a long time to pick the right person. It's not like he walked in off the street and you said, look good, let's take him. You made that decision. And you know what? Mr. Erb and Mr. Dice both said, when everybody's talking about let's change this and let's change that, and you said tonight about, well, you know, this is just one time that something happened, and let's not change the ordinance because of one thing that happened. But isn't that what 4 people did? They didn't like something that a manager didn't do, so they changed them. So what we're asking for you to do is the same thing that other people did. So aren't we just leading by, you guys are leading by example, we're just taking your lead. And Mr. Ramsey, I'm sorry, Mr. Arasenko, if you can certainly pass it along to Mr. Ramsey.
Thank you.
That for him to sit here because somebody said something to him, to say, now I'm going to change my vote, was absolutely ludicrous.
Deplorable.
We are adults. And I do sit at home, and I've probably watched the council meeting for, I don't know, since I've been 10. So I've watched you guys. I've laughed at you all. I actually remember Mouse Span, as a matter of fact. So that's how long I've watched you guys. You guys need to learn to get along. I may not like your decisions. I do respect some of the things that you do, and it's my right not to respect some of the things that you do. And there are things that I know that I will not say, that I do know that some of you are lying. But I will not go out there. And please, when you guys are doing your little closing arguments, I think we would all appreciate it if you say what you want to say. Don't blame other people. Can we start making this about Monroeville and not about you?
Thank you. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is your time. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is your time to address council. Would anybody else like to address council? Please, you can certainly come back up, sir.
I did want to say one more thing. My name is Reed Vogel again. As I said and I watched, there's some people on the board I have very lost respect. I've seen people speak. I've seen people talk. But again, it's our municipality. It's what we're doing here for everybody in this municipality that we're supposed to be doing for everybody. And for some odd reason, there are too many people that want to look upon their own self. And I take her word, what she said, it's about individuality and not about. And Mr. Dice, I know your professionalism as an attorney. I've seen you board on many boards, probably 4 different boards. You got to go with that. I respect what you do, and I respect that you actually take the time out of your own schedule to handle all the issues that go with that. But using your...
I want to just, somebody just said, I get paid to do this.
Well, you know...
Very well.
Well, if you get paid to do it, that's good. I'm glad you get paid. But, you know, as an attorney
Just so
going
you
with
know,
that...
my father told me that I should do that.
Well, I like some of that money. I like some of the money we're paying these people we let go, because I take some of that money myself. But there are other people, and I would respect tonight and ask the mayor,
Sure, please.
when we get down to this final vote, I want Doug Cole. I want him. I'll speak for him. I want to have him. But I'm asking you, please, tonight, and I've watched these board meetings time and time again, limit the individual speeches to under 5 minutes, because it goes on and on and on. So tonight, if everyone wants to speak, please let the board members talk. Give yourself 5 minutes. I know you've been rejected, because I've seen it overrule you, try to. But I said, you're the mayor, you speak up, it's 5 minutes, speak your piece, be done with it. And again, I want Doug Cole. Okay, thank you.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I will keep the floor open for as long as you need it open. But if nobody else is going to address council, I'm going to move over to our reports of our officials. And I would ask that you please try to remain if you can.
He has one extra.
Oh, you want to come up and say something, Ralph? Please state your name for the record again.
Ralph Greco, I live at 4804 Burke Drive in Monroeville. You know, I ran a business. When somebody did something wrong, or if somebody told a joke that was out of line, you looked into it. Then you called that person in and you reprimanded them. Maybe you gave them 30 days off or something. But you don't fire them. And I'm not saying that Doug Cole even said it out. I don't know. But that's not the way it works. You don't just get rid of people for a reason like that. You wouldn't have any workers left. There's not a person here that worked somewhere 35 years that hasn't told a joke. That's just human nature. It's just when it gets out of line, then you got to do something about it. I mean, I handled women and men, and women a lot of times, if they happened to overhear a joke or something, would find that it was offensive. And I would attend to it. And if that person didn't stop it, then they were gone. But you don't just let people go. That's all I have to say. And I am ashamed to live in Monroeville anymore. And Lois, you know...
Direct it to me, Ralph.
For mayor, that money we lost would have fed a lot of people with Lois's garden. That's it.
One more time, ladies and gentlemen, I will keep the floor open for as long as you choose. Sir, if you'll please state your name and address for the record, and please sign in.
My name is Anthony Picusa. I live at 123 Pauline Drive. After sitting here for a while and listening to some of this stuff going on, and looking around the room and seeing Mrs. Roback, Mrs. Richardson, and a few others, I thought I was at a school board meeting. This is actually pretty pathetic of what's all going on. Accusations across the board and whatnot. Mayor, I will address you because that's what we're supposed to do, but also when people are talking up here, you like to offer your 2 cents to some of the things that are being said, and I don't think that's the most appropriate thing. Maybe I'm wrong. But the one point I did want to make was, you all are elected officials up here, and whether or not you agree with a decision, when it comes to a vote, show up and vote, because a 4-0 vote isn't the same as a 4-3 vote. And when people years down the road are looking back and they look back at some of the decisions that were made and votes that were cast, they see 4-0, they think, oh, maybe it was a good decision. If they see 4-3, maybe they're going to look a little deeper into why it was a 4-3 vote and look into what are some of the things that chose people not to go unanimous. And then maybe we wouldn't get to this point where we have all this chaos that's going on right now. That's all I'd say.
Thank you, sir. Would anybody else like to address council? Again, I will, if not anybody, we'll go to reports of our officials. Seeing none, we'll go to our reports, and Bruce?
Do you Is it appropriate at this point to go into executive session?
I thought if we would do our reports first, then go into an executive session, we could
Okay.
announce that out, so the residents don't have to.
Okay. I have nothing to report.
Lynette, please.
Yes, item number 1, Mayor, is council's permission to support the Gateway Lacrosse team and a $50 donation to compete in the WPIL this year.
Motion on the floor.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Erb?
Aye.
Dr. Griesach?
Aye.
Mrs. Drumheller?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mrs. Allison?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Not sure he's on.
I think he's gone.
He's gone.
Mr. Ramsey?
Aye.
Lynette.
The second item is just the library web service update. At our January 8th meeting, we talked about a budget transfer that council approved, and I just wanted to give you an update that the library is moving in the direction of BNS Web Creations. They will be doing our web design for the library for $8,000 and a $3,000 training and update package, so with a total of $11,000. So I just wanted to give that information to council. And
Questions or
then,
comments on that, council?
Thank you.
Lynette?
and then my last item is the request of an executive session for the purpose of a police department update and a lawsuit update.
Thank you. Clarence, we'll start off with you.
I don't have anything. I talked too much.
Obviously, we lost Steve Diane.
Yes. Want to go through the Monroeville Convention Center. We have coming February 13th through 17th, the Allegheny Sports Travel and Outdoor Show. There's $2 discount coupons available at McDonald's. The Pittsburgh Fire Rescue and EMS Expo, February 23rd and 24th. And also the Pittsburgh Golf Show, March 8th through 10th. And I just want to go over briefly some of the things I talked about on Thursday. Again, there's been a lot of printed misinformation, and I think we even know from some of the things in the school district that things aren't always stated like the way they're said. There's also some misspoken statements, and there's been some here today. All in an effort, and I think everyone's trying to make sense of everything, and I greatly understand that. But unfortunately, we're not permitted legally, and as soon as we're able to get this all out legally, we will. I would be one of the first people, and I made a promise to Kyle, as soon as we can discuss this legally, we will. So unfortunately, they either involve employment law or other personnel that we can't come out and say. We can't come out and tell you these issues until they're dealt with appropriately. Everyone who's in a personnel department, we can't discuss this before these people are dealt with. So I'm sorry that that's maybe not what you want to hear, but they will all come out, and they will be hopefully very soon. What actually a lot of things we keep hearing about being insinuated actually are not possible. The mayor should know this, and this is what kind of really bothers me. It makes the situation worse. To continue to talk about these fables. I'd rather just stick with the facts and not what he thinks he believes. Because factually, what he indicates he believes cannot happen. Actually, it's impossible. I'm not sure whether he chooses to not speak the truth or does not believe in the laws governing this community. The gossip needs to stop, and what we're trying to do here is move on and deal with the situations that we need to. They're not easy, believe you. It's not easy. If anyone says it's political, if you have to know that this has to be the worst possible time for this to be political. There's a situation going on here, and for those that want to keep a blind eye to it, that's what's really sad. We have mismanagement. We don't have micromanagement, but mismanagement. We have a lot of lawsuits. I don't think everyone knows what they are. There's many, many, many lawsuits dealing with more than what you know. But one thing that we know is one department that cannot have political, personal, hand-picked employees or promotion is the police department. I said you cannot have political, hand-picked personal employees or promotions in the police department. Monroeville was ordered by the Court of Common Pleas, ordered to establish a civil service commission. It's a separate commission that does all the testing, that does done on the outside, scoring normally by the Chief of Police Association. There's an interview committee picked by the Civil Service Commission, and then all the scores. You have to score to the top of the list to even be considered. We don't pick the police. chief of police doesn't pick the police. The manager doesn't pick who's hired in the police department. We were ordered by the courts. Prior to that, in our home rule charter, the manager did. No longer. After 2006, it can't happen. It's impossible to happen. Before that, I can't tell you what happened. I don't know. But I know from 2006, when we were ordered to establish a Civil Service Commission, we have one in effect, under the civil service laws of the state, that can't happen. We've talked about my husband, and he does not need my help, nor would ever want my help. There is no current position available. If there is one, they have to determine if a vacancy is needed. And then it has to go through the whole promotion process through the Civil Service Commission. And the only vacancy that may become, and that's determined if there's a need in that department, is possibly for a narcotics and detective, which deals with drugs and prostitution. I mean, I personally wouldn't want him to do that. So, I mean, and that has to be determined if there is a need. They have to, and I don't think right now the need is for a detective at all. My husband is almost ready to retire. He's at the end. He chose to stay where he's at, and that's where he's chosen to stay. His choice. No person, no matter if they're the manager, chief of police, anyone can do personal promotions in the police department. I'm not saying, and this is the only department that I believe in the entire municipality that this exists. There are current investigations being done. They involve personnel, different personnel, the handling of information, breach of privacy, mismanagement to this level of safety concerns. And this is not all just one issue. They're different. I more than welcome every investigation from every legal entity to review all the information and to see what actually can be done, because I think a lot of people will be more than surprised. None of us took any of this lightly, nor do we act hastily. What we did was take responsibility, as we are required to do under the law and true to our oaths. I never met more people of character and integrity and courage than those involved in all this. Never. Do you really think they would sit up here and do all this for one person to do something? You have to think there has to be more to this. And I think many of you are, and I think you're going to see there's a lot more to than what the rumors are. What these people have endured is to do the right thing for the right reasons. Many have extremely misjudged them, and all of those people sitting up here by no means are subject to mind control. That's for Buzz Lightyear. To know information and take responsibility instead of pushing it under a rug, pretending that it's not occurring, or just purposely not choose to hear about it is commendable. Once they heard about it, they took action, and they chose it as their responsibility to do something. If not, once you know about this information, you're either part of the solution or you're part of the problem. They were not looking for excuses, creating uproar amongst employees. That's what's the worst part of this. This is another different type of situation. With being created amongst employees, as long as you're doing your job, you're fine. Just do your job. There's nothing going on without the other employees. And I don't think that's fair to them, because they just want to come to work and do their job that they do very well. Many residents, I understand you want an answer. You will be getting it very soon. As soon as we're legally able to tell you, you will know. Thank you.
Jim.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say, but if any of you folks ever pay attention to the higher-up politicians, the media, what's the first thing you hear? Well, look at that guy. His hair sure has turned gray in the last year. My hair has been gray, but let me tell you something. For the last year, I've aged dramatically, both inside and out. This job is easy as or whatever you may think. It's a real pain in the ass. I chose to do it. I'm here. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to do everything I can to make it as right as it possibly can be. And the only thing I can tell you, always remember this, May is right around the corner. Thank you.
Lois.
Yes, Mayor. I think I shared what I wanted to ask the solicitor earlier, so he gave me his answer on that. We do have a structure in place. All along, we've had this operational structure in place to make informed decisions. And so by coming to meetings and following the rule of the law, whether that law be the home rule charter or employment law, health privacy laws, I would encourage council to come to executive sessions, not walk out on executive sessions, and be in place with everything that we have, because we do have the structure that we need to be responsible to our constituents. No matter how they feel about the decision, there's something in place that makes that decision the right thing to do. And there are always referendum material to consider. And I had a conversation several weeks ago about that, and I thought it was mentioned again. And I would like to present that in a way that we can take a look at that and see whether or not that makes, I don't know that there's a way to make everything 100% foolproof or error-proof, but we can certainly look at that, and I think that everybody means to do that, and I hope they do that. So we do have those structures in place, and I look forward to continuing to use them. I wanted to go over senior news because I put that off on Thursday, and the senior newsletter, which is the March-April newsletter, just came out. Also, what starts in March again are the hot lunches that are offered. So we've had this month's bingo, but beginning in March, hot lunches start up again, and beginning with that next bingo, which would be March the 2nd. So that's going to be before the next meeting. March the 2nd will be the next bingo at 1 p.m., hot lunch before at 12 noon for a nominal fee. The monthly luncheons also start up for the Senior Center in March 25th at noon. Please stay informed with the newsletter. It's a 2-month newsletter for events. April, we'll start having special events coming up, and that will include the Spaghetti Festival. And I will mention once again, don't forget the Senior in Motion contest. The Monroeville Senior Center is here to keep you up to your New Year's resolution for 2013. And so what we want you to do is pick up a card in the Senior Center office for the purpose of doing Seniors in Motion, going to the workout room, going to some of the areas that, by picking up the card, the more times you come to visit, the more chances you'll have to win. So the way that it works is between January 14th and May the 24th, each time you attend the center and participate in a fitness-related activity, have one of the staff members punch your card. And then once you have visited 10 times, drop your card off into the raffle box located in the front desk, get another card, start over again. Because the more cards you put in, the more likely you would be picking up a fitness basket that is going to be drawn May 29th. And there will be several prizes. There'll be a second prize, third prize winners who will receive gift cards. Anyway, the drawing and the whole idea is to take advantage of what we have in our senior center, which is an excellent way to attain total fitness. And it is total fitness. It's not only the physical, but it is the mental agility, the computer classes, all the things that are there for people who are 50 years of age or over. And some people don't realize that the age is 50 years of age and over. There's lots of room and lots of activities. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Nick.
Yes, excuse me. This certainly goes without saying that this council needs to do better. It's very apparent here. We talk about meetings that happened, that we attended, that we did not attend. The meeting that I wish would have been called and we would have had was the meeting that enlightened myself and a couple other of my colleagues on council of Mr. Silka not doing his job. I found out about the process after it already started. Found out on a Monday morning with choppy information. Wednesday, 4 members of council are accepting his resignation. I wish that I would have had this information beforehand, and moving forward, I hope that's how we operate, that we actually discuss things. Yes, I probably would have still disagreed with the whole situation, but at least it would have happened beforehand. But to be very clear, the meeting that I did not attend, and I know some people found offense to that, it was my decision. I'm sticking to it still. But to be very clear, that meeting was not about Doug Cole. That meeting was to accept the formality of accepting the resignation of Mr. Silka the resignation that was already signed, so accepting his resignation, approving his severance package to pay him, which if I would have found out that he wasn't doing a good job, I probably would have been against paying him, but to approve his severance package. And then in that meeting as well, they filled the seat, the interim manager seat. So once again, moving forward, I would like to have meetings where maybe we are getting all this information out there beforehand and then making our decisions. Once again, we certainly need to do better. I thank all the residents for coming out these past couple meetings, and everyone who's watching on TV and actually taking interest in your community. I know this is an emotional situation where people are getting interested, but I would hope moving forward that people remain interested in what's going on up here and help us out and help help us direct how this community, how you want this community to move forward. So we need to do better. I said that a few times. I could probably say it 10 more times, but we need to do better. I would like to congratulate, everyone knows Mr. Duncan wasn't here. I would like to congratulate Mr. Duncan and his wife, Michelle, for the marriage of their daughter, Heather. I wish her and her husband, Rocky, many years of health and happiness. That's certainly where they all are right now. And once again, congratulate Mr. and Mrs. Duncan on the expansion of their family. That's all I have for this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Vern.
I've said a lot already, so I'm not going to rehash what I've said, and a lot of other people have said some things. What I would encourage is the same thing that Dr. Griesach and Chad Stubenbort suggested, and that is that you stay involved. I'd love to see this room filled like this every single time. I don't think that it needs to be contentious every single time, but I think that it makes sense to have people here all the time. So that's really all I have to say is thank you for coming this evening, whether you agreed, whether you disagreed, and continue to come, continue to stay involved. That's it.
And I'll also be very quick. Thank you all for coming. Obviously, congratulations to Steve and his family and their expansion. Again, Val, I got to say, Chad makes us so very proud to be part of Monroeville. As you all know, I'm a very big fan and support our nation's veterans and those currently in the military. So again, kudos to Chad, Val. What a wonderful son you have. You and Mark did him great. So he serves our country well, obviously. Last thing I have, council, and I will pass this out to everybody, is, hang on. I think I have, is that enough? It should be enough. This is dated February 12, 2013. Members of council, I hereby veto the setting of the salary for the acting manager at $86,808 under Section 604 of the Home Rule Charter, which was approved by the majority members of council at the January 27th, 2013 special meeting for the following reason. A severance salary package of $67,500 was approved for the former manager. The above total does not include the cost of continuing benefit package for 7 months, which was also approved. Combine this with the $86,808 salary package and the cost of the benefits, all the benefits under the manager's ordinance for the acting manager as approved by council at the January 27, 2013 special meeting. Combining these actions, this exceeds the approved salary and benefits package for the manager position for fiscal year 2013. And I have now see that we have a request for an executive session, so is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn to executive session.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for attending.